Hello and welcome back to an Introduction to Scratch 3.0 Part 2. My name is Laura, and today we're going to be learning about blocks and how we can use them to build scripts. When we use programming or coding, we are giving a computer a list of instructions called scripts to follow. These scripts can be used to create things like games, websites, and animations. Coding languages can be overwhelming at first glance, which is why MIT Media Lab created Scratch as a stepping stone for the new programmer. Instead of using written code, Scratch uses blocks that snap together to build scripts. Scratchers, that's you and me, can then see how these scripts work as they direct sprites on a stage area. To get started today, feel free to use the project that you started last time in part 1, or if you prefer, just click Create at the top of the screen in Scratch and start a brand new project. I'll meet you in the Inside Project view. Welcome back to the Inside Project view. As you can see, I've loaded up the project that I started from part 1, where we learned all about sprites. Today, however, we're going to learn all about blocks. Blocks are what you'll be using to create your scripts in Scratch. Each individual block acts as a line of code for your sprite to follow. And by putting them together, just like Lego, you can build these elaborate or very simple scripts to make your sprites start acting out different kinds of scenes, or creating games, or creating animations on your stage area. So in Scratch, blocks are what you would be using to create scripts, and you can see them all lined up over there on the far left side of the screen. You will see tons of different kinds of circles that are colored and labeled. This is your block palette that lives in the coding tab. From the block palette, you can select any different kind of block to interact with your sprites. So these motion blocks, which are blue, tell a sprite how you want it to move. The next category in the block palette are the looks blocks. So the blocks in the looks category change how a sprite looks. Next is the sound category. Sound blocks play and control music and sounds. Next we have the events category, which tells scripts when to begin taking effect. After that, the control category, which give other blocks in the script certain commands. After that, we have the sensing category that relates the sprites to its surroundings, the operators category that carries out math functions to set parameters, the variables category, which allows you to name and define your own variables, and the last category, the My Blocks category, which lets you create your own custom blocks. Today we're going to use the first 5 categories on this list, and we'll start working with the last 4 categories in another part of this series. Within these categories, there are 3 main types of blocks. The first one you'll have noticed right away in the motions category. These blocks all kind of look the same in that they have a notch in the top of them and a notch underneath them. And when looking at them in the motions category, you could see where each one could fit together if you were stacking them all on top of each other. These blocks are called stack blocks, and stack blocks fit together just like Lego. For example, if I click and drag one of these motion stack blocks to the script area, which is this big blank space between the coding tab and the stage area, and release it, and then take another one of these blocks, you can grab any of them that you'd like, and bring it close to the other one, you'll see that these shadows appear above and below the first one. And this is showing you where you can start building your scripts. We can add blocks to this first one above or below it. In the control category, you're going to see a lot of other different kinds of stack blocks with those notches on top and below them. And they work a little bit differently in that you can stack on top of them, below them, and you can nest blocks inside of them. You can nest multiple blocks inside of them and still build on top of and below them. Oh, and by the way, when you drag these blocks into the script area, and we actually don't want them there, you can click and drag them back to the block palette and release them to make them disappear completely. Or you can right-click on the block and select Delete Block from the drop-down menu. The second type of block that we're going to look at are in the events category. So let's go there, and right away you'll see that they look a little bit different. A lot of them have that curved top, And these are called hat blocks. And just like a hat in real life, how you would put it on top of your head, Scratch uses hat blocks to sit on top of scripts. And hat blocks are really important because they often tell our scripts when to start running. And just as an example, if I were to click and drag the stack block close to the hat block, you'll see the shadow appear below it, but there will be nothing that pops up above it. So you can only build stack blocks below the hat block. And while you can only use hat blocks to sit on top of a script and build beneath it, there are other blocks, such as the forever loop in the control category, that will allow you to build on top of it, but nothing below it. Any block that has this flat edge on the bottom of it means that nothing can be built below it. So let's begin building scripts. I invite you to choose your favorite sprite, either from the Scratch sprite library or just one that you have already existing in your project. And just double check after you've picked it by going to the costumes tab at the very top of the screen there that it does in fact have a couple of different costumes that it can cycle through. And then click back on that coding tab to get back to your block palette. Right in the center of the screen here, we have that script area, which I mentioned before, and this is where we'll be building all of our scripts for our sprites. But each script area belongs to a different sprite, and you can tell which one it belongs to by that very faint watermark way up in the top corner of the script area. So the watermark here is of the cat, and as you can see from the sprite pane, my cat sprite is selected. The thumbnail of it is glowing blue, which means that I can now build scripts in the script area for that sprite. All right, so let's have our sprite change some costumes by building some scripts. And the first place to start is by going to the events category, because we're going to need a hat block to begin our script. I invite you to select the first hat block on the list here, the when green flag clicked hat block, and put it into your script area of the sprite that you have chosen. You'll notice that at the top of the stage area, where all of our sprites are hanging out right now, there is a green flag that means go, and a red stop sign that means stop. If you click the green flag, it will activate any scripts that you've built that start with this when green flag clicked block. Now, because we want our sprite to change costumes, we are wanting to change how it looks. So let's go to the looks category in the block palette. And from this list of blocks, let's select the next costume block. If you click and drag it to your hat block and release it, they should snap together really easily. It may not look like much just having two blocks stacked together, but this is in fact coding that our sprite can now follow. So when we click the green flag at the top of the stage, our bear should change to its next costume. Let's take a look. There we have it. And if I keep clicking that green flag button, my bear will very slowly cycle through every single costume change whenever I direct it to. You can also activate a script just to test it out by clicking on the script itself in your script area. Scratch has a very methodical and linear approach to reading scripts. It will always start from the very top block and work its way down to the bottom. So when Scratch is reading this script, it knows that when the green flag is clicked, it will make this bear sprite change to its next costume and then stop, because there's nothing built underneath this script. If we want it to cycle through these changes multiple times, we're going to need one of those loops that we saw before in the control category. So let's go take a loop at that. Let's try using the forever loop, because I would like this bear to just cycle through its costumes forever without me having to interfere. So let's click and drag that to the script area. And if you click and drag this forever loop to your script, you'll have the option to place it underneath the next costume block, but it won't really do anything there, because when Scratch again runs through your script, it'll just say when the green flag is clicked, the bear will cycle to its next costume, and then the following will happen forever. But since there's nothing nested inside the forever loop, it doesn't know what you're referring to. I would like the bear to cycle through its costumes forever, so I'm going to click and drag that next costume block and nest it right inside the forever loop. And then if I attach the forever loop to the green flag clicked block, we can assume that it will do the following. When the green flag is clicked, the bear will do the following forever. Change its next costume, and then this little back arrow means repeat. So it'll go back up to the top here, see that the bear will do the following forever, and then cycle through to its next costume. So it should do what we're hoping it to do. Let's see what it does by clicking that green flag on top of the stage. So to stop the script from running, you can click the red stop sign at the top of the stage, or you can click the script itself. And as you saw from that, the bear sprite was running through that script extremely fast, making it look as though it was in quite a bit of a hurry. And this is where some more control blocks can come in handy. So if I click and drag that wait 1 seconds block and put it somewhere in the forever loop, I'm going to be telling the script to wait 1 second before changing its costume again. Let's see what happens when we activate the script again. Excellent, so the bear is moving much slower. We can even edit this script further by clicking in that white input area in the wait block and changing it to, say, 0.5. This will increase the speed with which it will change costumes, but hopefully not make it as fast as what it was doing before. Let's see. There we go, a nice leisurely stroll. Okay, and there you have it. We've created a script that will make our sprite change through its costumes. Well done. Music and sounds are really important to media, and they can really elevate your project. So let's go to our sound category and choose a sound that we can add to our script. Right now it has pop as the sound effect, so start sound pop. If you click on that little drop-down arrow there, it will give you the option to even record your own sound. So if you'd like, you can give that a try. Pop is the default sound that Scratch starts you out with, just like it always starts you out with the Scratch Cat. But there's lots of other sounds in Scratch's library, and you can find them in the Sounds tab right beside the Costumes tab at the top of the screen. In the Sounds tab, you will see the pop sound effect in the top corner as a thumbnail that you can remove if you want to, and you have all these other different options to edit the sound or to listen to it. You can add additional sounds to your project by using the sound menu at the bottom of the screen in the corner there of the Sound tab. So again, you can choose a sound from Scratch's very extensive sound library. You can record your own sound by clicking on the record icon. You can ask for a surprise sound, which is always fun. And you can even upload your own sound. If you had a music file you wanted to add to your project, you could probably do that. I'm going to ask for surprise, just to see what Scratch will give me. Video game. Okay, so if I play that, what does it sound like? It's not bad. An interesting choice for our bear. Let's give it a try. Let's go back to the coding tab. And as you can see, since we've added that sound to our library, it automatically is updated in that drop-down menu on the Start Sound block. I'm excited for this. Okay, so let's click and drag Start Sound block to our script area, and let's add it maybe right underneath or above or wherever you'd like, as long as it's inside the forever loop. So let's put it right here. Okay, is everyone ready for this? I'm going to click on the green flag and see what happens. Okay, it's a little disturbing. We're gonna stop. So as you could tell from the one that I've put in there, because my sound is so long, it gets cut off immediately when it starts replaying this loop. But we can fix that. Let's trade out the Start Sound video game block for Play Sound Video Game 1 until Done block and add that one instead. And hopefully this will work. Let's see. I mean, the sound works, but now it's not changing costumes as frequently. You know what we can do about this? Just for fun, just because we're here. We can create a second script, and that way we can get the bear to play its music while walking, and also just continue to cycle through its walking movements without cutting out the sound early. So let's try that out. Let's just keep this script the same as it was before, okay? So that way when it's running, our bear will just continue to walk. And you know what? I might even just bump this up to 0.25, just to make that walk cycle a little bit faster. Excellent. Let's build another script. Let's go to the events category. Let's get that green flag clicked button again. And this way both of our scripts will run at the same time when we hit that green flag button. Okay, next we're going to the control category. we're going to get another forever loop, attach it underneath the green flag clicked block. Okay, excellent. Next, we need the sound block. Let's go start sound video game 1, and let's just pop it into that forever loop. I think this is going to work really well. Let's give it a try. It's terrible, and this is because we're not telling our script to wait. So we're gonna have to do that. So let's just get this out of there. Let's try until done instead. Okay? Let's try that. Great. So if we put them together, what happens? Let's click that green flag and find out. We've done it, everyone. We've done it. We've solved the problem. And this is something you'll probably encounter quite frequently in Scratch. It's a lot of troubleshooting, but it also really gets you to think about how Scratch is reading your scripts and how you can improve them or duplicate them or create new scripts in order to get your sprites to do what you want them to do. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of trial and error, but the payoff when it works is amazing. All right, so we've created a very fun sprite already. But it'd be kind of nice if our sprites could talk to each other or interact with each other in some way. So let's learn how to do that next. I invite you to choose your next favorite sprite from Scratch's library or choose another one that you've loaded into your project and select it at this time. I'm going to use Charlie the Turtle. And as you can see from my sprite pane, I've already selected it, which has changed the script area to that watermarked image of the turtle, which means that I can now start building scripts in my turtle's script area. So again, we're going to need a hat block. So let's go to the events category and let's try a different hat block this time. Let's try when this sprite clicked block. So one of the ways we can make our sprites talk to each other is to have them actually have a conversation on the screen with word bubbles. So let's go to the looks category. And you'll see right at the top we have a couple of different blocks that say hello or think and they show up on the screen like little word bubbles that come out the side of your sprite. Let's choose say hello for 2 seconds and add it right underneath that hat block. So when I click on the sprite now, it will say hello for 2 seconds. That's kind of fun. And you can even click in the say block and edit what it says. I want pizza. So right now our sprite is kind of just screaming into the empty vacuum of the universe, waiting for an answer. And we want to give that sprite an answer. So broadcasting and receiving is a way for you to get sprites to communicate with each other. Think of it like one sprite shouting out some instructions, and then the other sprites have to go and follow those instructions. So to do that, we need a broadcast block, and that'll be from the events category. Broadcast blocks are right at the very bottom. They're these nice stack blocks here with the drop-down menus. We're going to choose the first one, broadcast message 1, and add that to our script. So now, thinking like Scratch, this is what's going to happen. When this sprite is clicked, the turtle sprite, it will say, I want pizza for 2 seconds, and then it will broadcast message 1. Now message 1 again is just kind of this default thing that it gives you. If you click on that drop-down arrow, you'll have the option to create your own message. And you can name messages anything. However, it's a good practice to get into to name them after the events that they're going to be triggering. For example, it could be start game, game over, or lose a life, that kind of stuff. So let's select new message, and let's call our message answer because we want a sprite to answer us. Press OK. So now it's time to make one of our other sprites answer this one. So choose your third favorite sprite and open up its script area here. We're already in the events category, and that's perfect because we have this hat block right here on top of the broadcast blocks that says, when I receive answer. And that's exactly what we want. We want this sprite to receive the broadcast from that last sprite. So when I receive answer, we want this turtle to do what? We want it to say something in return. So let's go to the looks category and let's get it to say something for 2 seconds. I'm going to make it say, me too. Let's give that a try. Remember, we used the hat block when this sprite clicked. If you'd like to use the green flag one again instead, you're perfectly welcome to do that. So I'm clicking on my sprite. So our sprite is saying, I want pizza, and now the other one is answering it. And that's how broadcasting and receiving works. You can use that in many different ways to make your sprites move across the screen, change color, have very elaborate conversations, whatever you'd like. Feel free to be as creative as you want. And that concludes part 2 of this Introduction to Scratch 3.0. Next time, we're going to be learning how to draw in Scratch using turtle graphics. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in part 3.